If you are new here, we do a photo challenge every single day I'm live. It's a way for me to connect with the viewers and a way for the viewers to connect with each other. Do not worry, if you did not make it into the photo challenge, you can actually join the Discord and make it in for tomorrow's, because there will be one tomorrow. Today's photo challenge is, what's a supernatural experience that you've had? So we have Kantiana's. I remember waking. Okay, so there might be a little scary here. I'm gonna try to read these slower so I don't mess it up too much. But let's go through this. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night to see a creature with a bent back in the corner of my bed. I looked at it and I had a super bad and evil feeling about it, and I'm not too religious, but I had a feeling that it wanted to drag me to hell. It stood there for about 5 seconds and then out of nowhere ran at me quickly, and then I stood up fast and then it disappeared. We have Senpai. So, when I was a baby, I lived in a pretty toxic household, and my mom used to say, if the household's bad energy, then the bad energy shall find it. The one night when I was about 3 years old, I would get out of bed and pretty much sleepwalk. My mom and dad woke up to get me because our bedroom was on the 2nd floor. They told me they opened the door to get me, and I was in the edge of the stairs, and when they looked down at the stairs, it was like a dark shadow with red eyes crawling up the stairs when they picked me up, and it disappeared. That's not fucking scary at all. I'm Rod. This is Rod's submission. I was staying with a friend one night. We were talking when all of a sudden I saw a dark gray figure pass by the doorway of the room where the hallway meets the living room at the front of the house. The only way I could describe the figure is it was about the height of an adult person but did not have the human figure. It was dark gray and it looked like a tall shadow wisping by like smoke, only much more pronounced. I immediately stopped talking and looked at my friend and he saw it too. The only other people in the house were his mom and his little brother, and both of them were asleep in the back bedroom. At first we tried to make sense of it, and it was possibly just a shadow due to the lighting, but then we realized the lighting couldn't have caused it. It only passed by for a second. A few minutes had passed and we checked all the rooms. My friend's mom and little brother are still asleep in the back bedroom. I sit on the couch in the living room and asked where the fuck the olive oil is, because I grew up religious, so I went in and walk around spreading olive oil all over the house and pray. He said he didn't know if they had any or not. My friend then goes to the bathroom, which is to the right next to his room, both looking towards a hallway in the living room. I'm sitting on the couch in the living room still. I randomly hear my friend taunt whatever spirit he thinks we saw. He said, "We're not scared of you, show yourself." Mind you, this is only loud enough to where I could hear it faintly. The instant he said show yourself, his little brother in the back bedroom let out a blood screeching scream. Oh, that's fucking terrifying. It fucking scared me so much. My friend finished using the bathroom and went back to check on his little brother. He comes back to the living room for about 10 minutes and says the little brother is fine and is back asleep. I asked him what the fuck happened, and his little brother woke up because he saw a figure in his dream and got scared. Like, bitch, huh? Also, to note, my friend was not the person I would joke around or play a prank. In order for us to sleep that night, we convinced ourselves that it was just the circumstances that a dark gray figure we saw wasn't a spirit or demon after all. Nah, oh girl, that was a demon or something in that house, and I'm sure you know that. That sounds scary as hell, I fear, okay? Emma. I have a lot of paranormal experiences, when sinking turning on randomly and figure being in my room when I lived in college dorms, to footsteps in my friend's attic, but I had a recent one. Basically, I let ghosts or whatever do whatever they want if it's not too extreme, because some can feed off that fear. You know, they're just bopping around, I'll let them do what they want. So when I moved into our new place, we got this ghost that is like a curious cat. Doesn't really do much, but it moves things or drops things when no one's in the room. Doesn't really freak me out, I just let it do it at once. Well, one night I woke up and I was half asleep when I just look over my bedside table and I see sunglasses hanging in the midair like someone was wearing them. I blinked a few times to make sure that I was seeing what I was seeing, and I literally just turned back around and went back to sleep. The next morning I found them on the ground. Emma, baby, Emma, baby. Why? There's no way you just turned around and went to bed. I would have cried. When I was a teen, we used to have really weird experiences. One that still lingers with me to the day when I was lying down in my room. I suddenly wasn't able to move or talk, but able to move my eyes and breathe. My room became cold and I heard a laugh of a little girl and the sound of a tiny several bells tinkling with her laugh. The hair all over my body stood on end, and I looked to see where the sound was coming from, but I couldn't see anything, but felt something, or someone in front of me. I felt a distinct impression that she was standing in front of me and she continued to laugh, then I felt like she was about to reach out her hand and touch me. I started to panic because the minute my hand got close to me, the bells got louder, and her laugh changed to a little girl to the sound of an old woman. The happy laugh was more of a cackle. I tried to scream, but I was unable to, and I couldn't move. Only stare in horror as I felt the hand move closer to my face. Finally, I was able to eke out a sound and I could move my body. I immediately jumped up from the bed where I was relaxing and I ran out of my room downstairs. I told my parents what happened and they thought I was having a nightmare. How could you have a nightmare when you're not asleep? I ended up staying in my little brother's room that night because I couldn't sleep alone. No, I would not have slept alone either. No, I would not have. Fluffy. So there was an incident where I ran into experience with a Lalornia. Okay, I heard about this one. I can't pronounce this correctly, but I know now it told me about this. Long story short, my grandma's house is maybe 20 feet from the river where I'd often go to shower or just swim in. The one night my dad and uncle took me to the night to take a quick shower before heading to town, and they pointed the truck's headlights toward the river, so while we had some form of light. About 5 to 10 minutes, I remember looking up and seeing a faint silhouette just in the cone of headlights. My dad and uncle hadn't noticed it until I pointed it out. But once we heard a weeping as someone had been crying, my dad and uncle rushed to the truck, immediately sped off back to the house. They refused to talk about it until I was older, and I asked again about that night. What I didn't know is that my dad still heard the weeping when we got home and throughout the night while I was asleep. Huh? Now that one makes me fucking scared. That one's scary as shit, because like the fact that like they didn't hear it, like the Fluffy didn't hear none of this until they got like, you know what I mean, and their dad and uncle hears it, like a continuation through the night. Nah, fuck that. If your parents are hiding stories from you, that's when it gets scary. So we have Drac now. Since I was young, my Native American grandmother always told me I had a connection with spirits. I could always sense when something that wasn't living was near. So fast forward when I was about 20, I was living in the Redlands, California with my mom and my friends as I decided to visit a very well-known haunted park where people stay away from after dark. When we arrived, the park was foggy and very misty. I remember going and feeling normal, and then I blinked. And when we were back at the parking lot and everyone was freaking out because I had claw marks on my arms and I was bleeding, they told me I immediately went to the middle of the park and began speaking in Spanish when they all tried to pull me away. It felt like I was stuck and could not be moved. My best friend said she saw a non-light in my eyes and that something there was obviously communicating to me. And I snapped out of it and I began to scream that they wanted us and I had claw marks on my arm. They immediately grabbed me and dragged me to the parking lot. To this day, I still don't remember everything that happened, and I refuse to go anywhere near that park as I suffered extreme nightmares afterwards. That one's a good one. I'm gonna give a little warning on this because I don't know what this could be about, so. Leave for work in 20 minutes. The way we talking in the water, like, excuse me? Yeah, no touchy. No touchy. The man in my photos. Wait, I might have to save these and start reading these. Echo Dreads, Insight, you would look fucking amazing with anything. Let's be real here. The man in my photos. So I got this pretty unusual habit where I take photos of empty places, abandoned buildings, quiet forests, lonely roads, etc. It started off as a hobby to find and capture the peace that these spaces withhold. Now it feels like the photographs find something else. Last week I was taking photos of this old factory near where I live. It was completely desolate as usual. While I looked through these pictures of my computer after I got home, that's when I saw something, someone, him, an old man, dressed in a gray suit, standing in the very back corner of one of the rooms. I swear the room was empty when I took the picture. I know what you're thinking, and so did I. It must have been a reflection of the lens or something, so I didn't do too much about it. I even cleaned the lens. I kept taking more photos in completely different locations and all kinds of lighting and angles. He was there too, in the background. Always the same distance, always the same posture. It got worse. I don't think I can even take pictures to see him anymore. I see him in the reflection of spoons, in the glass windows, in the backgrounds of photos and videos that never even happened, and every shadow too long be my own. Most of the time I just see his gray figure, but something he's so close that I can see every detail of his face. There's something wrong with his face. His face features look almost right, but they're just too symmetrical. Too perfectly balanced, like someone tried to make a human but failed to make it look alive. I don't know how it got into my life, and I don't know how to get him out. I tried everything. I tried to force myself to believe that it was just my imagination. I've ignored him. I've burned the pictures. I've been avoiding mirrors and windows. But when I do, I can feel him looking at me, cold and heavy, like he's wanting something. He's always there, in my periphery. Just one step away, I can't sleep anymore. I can barely breathe without feeling his presence. And the worst part, I saw someone comment on an old Reddit post mentioning an old gray suited man, creepily similar to my situation. Then said the man is like a parasite. He feeds on being seen, being remembered. He gets into your life and you become aware of him. It's subtle at first. You might catch a glimpse of him in a reflection, just like I did. And then it becomes more obvious. He comes closer. The last sentence stood as a final lone warning. If you read about him, if you think about him too much, he can see you. And when he sees you, he'll never let you go. Not until another becomes aware. I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe to give you a warning, probably is my last exit. If you're reading this far, if you started to think about him, it's probably too late for you. If you can feel like you're being watched, don't look over your shoulder. That's what he wants. I hope he leaves me now and chooses you for instead. I know it's selfish, and I'm so sorry. I just don't want to be alone anymore. Oh, bitch, y'all are haunted.